The goal here is to get unemployment under 6%, because anytime we're under 6%, that's a healthy economy. And you can see here, I mean, other than during COVID, right, we've been well under 6% for quite a long time. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, a decade actually, other than like a blip on the radar, which was COVID when we shut down the economy, right, Bruce? And you mentioned kind of the goal of being under 6%. Under 4% or right at 4% is what the government would consider full employment. And that just means that basically anybody who wants a job has a job. And so you can see based on these graphs here that we have been, you know, well under the 6% goal and even well under full employment at 4% for quite a long time. And again, that's an indicator of an underlying strong job market for sure and strong economy as well.
Yeah, I think what's really fascinating here, Chase, is that, as the Fed raised the interest rates to get inflation under control, if you think about the role of raising the interest rates, what they're attempting to do is actually slow the economy down. Now, the way that would show up is in the form of unemployment. We should see unemployment rise as the economy slows, and we should see GDP drop. And you can see here that even though they raised the rates 11 times through October of last year, we haven't seen the unemployment rate really jump up. Last month, the month of June, it moved up to 4% from 3.9% back in May. So again, not a lot of movement in the unemployment rate. And if we look at what's happened to housing and the median home price, long term, the average growth in residential real estate in this country has been an average of 4% growth. And on the graph we have, it's represented by the green line. We call it the trend line. Now, you can see all through the 90s, we were tracking perfectly with that trend line. And then in 2001, we actually bumped above it for the first time. And by 2006, we were actually 21% above the trend line. And then, of course, we know what happened after that. Well, it was 2008. We saw the Great Recession, and we saw prices drop considerably below the trend line, and they stayed that way for almost 10 years. And then, bang, guess what? Now we're above the trend line again. And, oh, by the way, we ended last year at 9% above the trend line, even though it feels more. And the reason I believe it feels more is we saw the appreciation in a much shorter space of time. So it feels like we're way above. And so my question, and I like to ask this, Chase, how many of you wish you bought more homes in 2006 when it was 21% above where it should have been that you still owned?
Yeah, and of course, hopefully everyone raises their hand, right, Bruce? Because this is a good illustration that real estate as an appreciating asset is always a great long-term investment. Because I think it's a good reminder that we want to be the local economist of choice, right? Because all the states that we represent here in the Northwest region are different. Some are way up, some are actually down. And so although looking at these national numbers is important, it's kind of like a table setter for being an expert on what's happening in the economy and, of course, how it's impacting the real estate industry. It is always important to be looking at the local information and how that is impacting those that we serve, whether it's the agents that we serve or the clients and consumers that they serve. So I think that's a good reminder here, Bruce, because you can see that these results vary pretty dramatically depending on which state you're looking at.
Again, as you mentioned, Chase, real estate's a local business, and we need to become local experts. So even on a county by county basis, the experience can be very different in terms of percentage growth in income.